Tech heads, back again. We talk again during the pandemic to make the pandemic feel a little shorter. It gives us purpose, something to look forward to at the end of the week. A great way to stay in touch with friends and to stay sharp. This week, we talk about where to begin. How do you choose your first programming language? How will I decide to take on learning all the necessary skills to become a developer? What should I do to stay focused? And is there a way to make the journey a little more bearable along the way? All this and so much more on Tech Heads.
How you all feel tonight?
Let's get started.
Tech Heads, back at it once again. Let's do this. Anna, how are you doing?
Hey, Victor, I'm good. It's been, I think, to kind of piggyback into the topic, it's been my first week at a new job, so I can get into that later on or on a different episode, but I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
Another day, another dollar, right? I've been trying to actually work on our intro song lately.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Right. So lately I've been using, a throwaway demo of mine as a filler, but eventually I want to get this intro song ready. But I just have no idea what I'm doing at this point. I don't know what direction I want to go in, to be honest.
Yeah.
That, and I'm also, keeping myself busy at work, by not working and creating the perfect work playlist.
Oh my gosh.
Make it a little more bearable. I
know.
So far, It's composed of mostly Nordic artists because, they do the house and stuff. So they all sound like IKEA furniture items.
Yeah.
Who's the Ludwig Göransson. He did.
Oh, I've heard of him.
He did Tenet and
right.
the Mandalorian. A bunch of big movies.
Right, you told me about him. That's how. I know.
Okay.
Cool.
It's basically like some movie and TV score. So, Ludwig covers that, and Ramin Djawadi, I don't even know how to say his name.
Where is he from?
I don't know, actually. I think he lives in California.
No, I mean, how do you know? Did you just stumble upon his music on Spotify, or is he another movie score producer or whatever?
I came across him. Didn't he do the Game of Thrones intro or all the music?
No, is that him?
I think so. I'm gonna have to.
What a legend.
I'm gonna do a number crunch on that real quick. How do you? Okay, we're also gonna look up how to say it.
Right. Let's
see. He might be Iranian. He did Iron Man, Pacific Rim, Warcraft. He did do Game of Thrones. Yep, that's.
Wow. I love the Iron Man soundtrack. I was listening to it the other day when I needed something to pump me up. Because like you said, now, at the new job, that was one thing that after people left me alone with, after chat messages and emails, I was looking for something to listen to at work. Obviously, we need to have headphones on because, it's a big, wide open office space. And I couldn't really find anything until I think I just pulled up my Spotify and I had a programming playlist saved, which is just instrumental music. There isn't a lot of singing. It's very chill house kind of thing. And that was perfect. I mean, I was probably listening to that for hours. But
Ramin Djawadi.
Okay. Ramin Djawadi.
Ramin Djawadi. So do you actually have your number one go-to playlist that you like to work to with that sort of music that you're talking about?
Yeah, I usually just end up listening to movie scores. It really depends on the day, honestly. I think I was listening to the Dark Knight playlist just a few weeks ago.
Mm.
Prior to that, it was the Iron Man one. I I always go back to Hans Zimmer profile, like his profile on Spotify, just because I mean he's done Interstellar, he's done Inception, Dark Knight. Um, oh my gosh, so many other ones. The Gladiator, yeah, like he's a huge name in the industry. So I think it depends on what I'm doing too. They're in my mood, like I can listen to rap or whatever, but I think when I really need to focus to get a task done, it has to be something without any kind of singing or, like a person talking. It has to be just instrumental, because then I feel like it really does help me with my thought process, because I'm not really focusing on the music. It's there in the background, but I'm really focusing on the task at hand, so
I mean,
yeah,
that's
usually what I
probably the
like.
biggest thing, you want to be as entertained as possible,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, to the point where you don't want to be distracted because, you're working, right? You don't want to screw
Yeah,
anything up too ginormous.
right.
That's,
what do you, what do you listen to you like, or lately, that you can think of, that you would recommend?
well, I've always been into listening to, um, the chill hop stuff. I also like going on YouTube and typing in like the 90s gold rap hip hop instrumental playlists. And then
Mm-hmm.
I also like to look up random DJs on YouTube. I'll watch their sets from like the Boiler Room. Um,
Oh.
and it just makes it a little more fun. But um, recently I discovered, I think I mentioned it to you because I liked the cover of it, that it actually like the artwork for it. It's called Flow State with Bobby Light.
Oh, you did. Yeah. Right, right,
Yeah.
right.
So what he does, this actually goes into what I wanted to talk about anyway. So what he does is he makes a playlist for each episode
Mm-hmm.
where it's all instrumental stuff, and
Yeah.
it changes. So one episode might mostly be movie scores, so like
Mm-hmm.
Ramin Djawadi, um, and then some Hans Zimmer stuff, and then
Mm-hmm.
another episode will be French house, and it's so fun.
Um,
It's really cool, and he he has it set up to where they're a set time. So it's called the Pomodoro technique, I think, for
uh-huh.
studying. So
Yeah.
what he does is he talks in the beginning for a couple minutes, and then he'll play music for 25 or 30 minutes straight, and then there's a 5-minute break in the middle, and
Mm-hmm.
he'll read something from a book, like an excerpt on focusing and studying, or just like something kind of relaxing. He'll just read whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and then it resumes after the 5 minutes is up, and that's your cue to get back to work, basically.
Yeah.
And it's
Oh,
so
okay.
cool because the amount of time that he talks at the beginning and end, I think they add up to 5 minutes. So if you listen to multiple episodes in a row, you get that 5-minute break every time.
Oh,
So
I know you
it's really
told me
smart.
about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
I love it.
that sounds like really handy for like when you're trying to get work done, So I have to give it a try this week. I know that you told me about it. I forgot the about the name, but I'm gonna try and try it out this week for sure on Monday.
Right. Yeah, he is a big encourager of the Pomodoro effect. Another person that I found recently, she's actually exclusively on Twitch, and what she does is,
Mhm.
oh, I found her through Joma Tech.
Oh, Joma.
Yeah, so
Hey.
she's friends with Joma, and
Mm-hmm.
what she does, she works at Apple. She's a iOS developer, for you guys who don't know, but she does these study sessions on Twitch, and she puts a timer in the bottom right corner, I think,
Uh,
and it's literally a camera shot of her just working, or she's, studying for something, or editing her YouTube videos, whatever. And it's just a
Yeah.
shot of her studying. And then once the timer is up, she just talks to the chat and like chills for 5 minutes and then gets right back to work. It's really cool.
I think I saw on Joma's channel that he has like a recurring live stream of music or something, isn't it? Or
Yep. It's always going. It never stops. And I don't know how he did that. I think it's so cool.
Right.
I wonder if he
Yeah.
used like a Raspberry Pi or something. I don't know. I don't know how you can do that, right? Like without some sort of like server or something. I
Yeah.
don't know, because how can he have a
Just
live video
constantly
going?
stream. Yeah.
Or maybe it's a dedicated computer logged into the account too.
Oh.
But then how does he like upload a video?
I'm gonna send him a message on YouTube. I'm gonna message him on YouTube and ask. That's very interesting.
It might be way simpler than we're making it out to be, but it sounds kind of complicated, not gonna lie.
Yeah, right. Because it's been forever since that he got that thing up and running,
Mm-hmm. It's just
like weeks or
going.
months.
The artwork's
Mhm.
cool too. I kind of want to get
Yeah.
that. Will Smith. Will Smith
What?
does that too. He has at
Live
least,
stream?
it's not a live stream. It's just this like, I think it's an hour long, maybe 2 hours long. It's that, the chill hop studying artwork that people have where it's like them in front of a computer just chilling and coding
Yeah.
or whatever.
Mhm.
He got someone to make an entire cartoon
Mhm.
that plays throughout the whole video, and it's just chill hop that he chose
Oh wow,
on the
that's
official
cool.
Will Smith YouTube account. It's so random because, like, he's obviously a huge actor. We don't even need to say
Yeah.
that, but he's been recently vlogging. I think within the past
Right.
year he started vlogging.
I heard. Yeah.
I'm sure Casey Neistat got him into it because I know they're kind of friends. And then
Mhm.
I know he did something with Tom Holland, but now he enters the chill hop game. I think it's
Yeah.
just so
Right.
crazy.
We should get a YouTube channel. That just reminded me, where we could even upload like our audio, like our podcast over there. Why not?
I'm actually on board with that. I would be down to do like the video format for the
Yeah.
podcast. That would be fun down the road
Right.
if that takes off.
Yeah.
And then who knows, maybe even we do a live show.
We could do a live show. That would be really fun.
We could do it on YouTube or Twitch.
Yeah.
Any of those, really. That'd be amazing.
I know. That's something for us to put on the agenda to look into this year. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, going back to the Pomodoro technique, have you ever done it or tried it?
I have tried it. Probably not long enough to really turn it into like a trial into a habit. Because I think I probably gave it a shot when I was studying for calculus a few years ago. And
Okay.
yeah, I mean, like going back to what you said, you have like your timer on and then you take a break and kind of like you study in like increments, right? Like you have like time slots or whatever, and you can break in between, which I think is a good idea. But I don't know. I've just developed the cramming method. Like earlier today when I was doing some schoolwork, I just find it easier to sit down and just go for it and do it for like a couple hours. But it is easy to get distracted, especially when you're working online and you can go like open a new tab and just go to Reddit and like burn at least like half an hour, So
Exactly.
I don't know. I mean, I know that I'm taking an operating systems class because for those of you who don't know, I am working on my bachelor's of computer science now. And I think this is going to come into play. We're going to talk more about it once we go into the other part of, the episode or what we're discussing today. But yeah, I'm taking operating systems now, and that class is so content heavy. And I think that maybe it's something that I could explore, trying it out again, seeing if it's going to benefit me for the exams, which I heard are probably the big beast of this semester. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I strictly do it in the second half of my day. In the morning, I won't do the Pomodoro technique just because I don't really I don't get like very hyper. I don't
Yeah.
like to at least get hyper during the first part of my workday. I want to just kind of ease into it, not
Mm.
start anything too crazy, just get all like the daily stuff out of the way, and then um, get started on some of the developing projects or
Mhm.
get some reports done for other people.
Right.
But after, I've had a snack or a second coffee, that's when I put my desk in standing mode and I put
Uh-huh.
on flow state or something. And then I just jam for the final 4 hour,
Yeah.
part of my shift. And then it flies by and it's amazing. It actually is, it's really fun.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely. I think I've noticed that I don't know if it is because of the job change. So obviously, I've been waking up earlier, and even today I wanted to sleep in today because I had a long week, but I couldn't. I'm already programmed to wake up at 6:30 in the morning because that's the time I have to wake up to go to the new job. So
Mm-hmm.
I found it that actually I tried this. I'm a little embarrassed to admit, but I've been taking pre-workout before I go to work because I want to make sure that when I get there, I'm like pumped. So one scoop of pre-workout, some water. By the time I get to that
Stop.
office, sit down, half an hour in, I'm grinding away. It's only been a week, but I'm telling you, it has changed like my productivity. It's not healthy. I don't know. I know it's not sustainable either, but whatever. It's not like I get the ear tingling kind of like I gotta pump some iron. No, it's not that bad,
Just
but it
breaking your
does make me
keyboard.
focus. Yeah, right. Yeah, no, it just helps me focus really because now I have a lot more distractions with people walking around, people chatting. I'm part of like the company uses Google Chat to communicate in a few channels, and it's like tons of like the pretty much the whole IT team in that, in the like a single channel. So there are like people talking about different tickets that they got. So it can be a bit overwhelming. I already put that on mute. I've only been there for 5 days. And until it's relevant to me, I don't want to pay attention to it. Otherwise, it's super distracting. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think
This is your brain on pre-workout.
I know, right? I thought that I think there was one day that when it hit me, I was like, man, my head is gonna explode.
As soon as someone comes to your desk and says, "Hey, Anna, can you do this for me?" Your brain goes. You're like, "Let's do this."
Yeah, right. But I think, yeah, no, I'm trying to kind of go back to or transition into an early bird. I don't really like waking up early, but I've noticed that, like now I have something else to look forward to. Obviously, I'm excited with the changes and the new place and all of that. So I think that definitely helps me, get out of bed early. But yeah, it's I don't know. I noticed that I do hit a wall around 2 p.m. It's
Mm-hmm.
hard after that. I kind of feel like I'm dragging my feet other than maybe Friday this week when I actually like I had work and I wanted to finish before the weekend. Yeah, I've been more productive in the morning and I try not to eat like a heavy lunch or anything obviously because I feel like that never works out and have some coffee too. Yeah, I just like you just need a boost. It's a lot of changes too. But I know that you like your coffee, and I just drink coffee for like the caffeine. Really, I don't enjoy it as much as you do with your fancy Chemex.
I'm just like slamming coffee all day, whether it's Chemex or our downstairs coffee shop or
Yeah.
Or I'm also kind of ashamed to admit, but I have an espresso machine.
Uh,
So I go through like 3 or 4 pods a day and
mhm.
just slam lattes.
Man.
It's kind of bad, but
Mhm.
um, you can you can just make whatever latte you want. I kind of like
Yeah.
doing just normal latte with no flavoring most of the time, but if I want to be crazy, I put some cinnamon and honey in there. Ooh,
Oh, that sounds
I think it's called a
delicious.
honey badger.
Oh, is that what it
I
is?
think so,
Oh
yeah.
my
I
gosh,
don't
I'm gonna
really
have to
know
try
the
that.
I don't know. I think they put vanilla, like like most baristas know what it is, I think, but at least at third wave coffee shops, but I'm pretty sure it's just vanilla, cinnamon, and honey. But yeah,
Mm,
if you
that
ever
sounds good
if
now.
you're ever at a gentrified hipster coffee shop, see if you can get a honey badger.
Yeah, no, for sure. They have at the new place that that I'm working, they have like a kitchen area, and then there's even like a area where like you can make your coffee, tea, or whatever. So I noticed that they have like the big Keurigs, and I had one the other day just because I needed something else on top of the pre-workout. And but I think, I mean, it's gonna be nice having free coffee, I have to say. I just have to walk a couple of steps, and I'll probably end up taking like my own little pods. Because, like I told you earlier, I have my cubicle, but right now there's only a chair, two monitors, and a keyboard.
Hmm.
I bring my laptop home because I don't want to leave it there, and I'm kind of like trying to, develop new habits because I'm gonna start working from home. I think this week, a couple days this week. So it's I also, I mean, they give you a laptop, so it's portable. It's not like I
Yeah.
have any work to do yet, from home. But yeah, just yeah, I'm probably gonna end up taking some of my stuff to decorate the desk and all that, and buy my own coffee so I can have it there because I don't have a Keurig at home. I like making just iced coffee with the little coffee machine that we have,
Hmm.
the Mr. Coffee or whatever it is. So
Do you
not too fancy, but
do you have the classic? I think it's in like every office right now, but with the dual monitor, you have the stand going up in the middle, and then the two screens just out like that.
no, actually the monitors are like on the desk, so it's just like two
Okay.
monitors next to each other. And I know like my IT manager can this week, obviously like when he took me around, he's like, oh, here's where you're gonna sit, and we're gonna like I have my computer set up, and then he said if you need anything else like equipment wise, yeah, I can ask for it, but I also didn't want to like get to the job and be like, here's my list. First of all, the first thing I would say is if I can get anything I want a Mac. Screw Windows. Like, what are you guys thinking? I know
Hmm.
it's expensive, but it's so worth it. So, unfortunately, that's not the case. It is a Windows shop, it is a Google shop. So, whatever, it's fine. But yeah, like he gave me the equipment that I really need to get the job done, but I went out and I got a few little things myself, like I want this keyboard so I can use it and feel more comfortable because it's shorter keys, or low profile keyboard I think it's called.
Hmm.
So yeah, that I paid out of pocket. I wish they would give me an allowance, but it is what it is. I don't want to be too demanding going into a new job because I have to show them my worth. Maybe a few months into it, I'll go up to my VP and be like, "Hey, can you hook me up with this or that?" And I'm sure that they're not going to say no if it's something reasonable.
Of
Um,
course.
on my first day, I threw it out there that I got a standing desk, and I hope I didn't give them the impression that I wanted one because I don't want one at the office. I actually want to be this. I want to be at the office the least amount that I have to. So, no, I mean everyone is really nice. I know that didn't really take it the wrong
Yeah.
way. I was just bragging about my desk because I love it so much.
Yeah, it's definitely a game changer, and it kind of
Yeah,
I like it because after I've had like multiple coffees being slammed, I
yeah.
get too hyper and jumpy, and I just gotta do something. So standing really really helps out with that, and
Mm-hmm.
keeps me from kind of staying sleepy too. Because
Yeah.
I mean, my chair is so comfortable, I could just sleep in it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Exactly.
but switching gears here, actually, I wanted to actually go into a little bit of how people can maybe get started in programming, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that in 2020, that GitHub, every year they put out, the most popular languages, right? So
Yeah.
2020, I think JavaScript was number one, and then
Mm-hmm.
Python was number two.
Crazy.
And I know that Joma, I've been keeping up with him a little bit lately. I know that he put out this, like bracket championship style thing. You saw that?
I saw, yeah, yeah. I'm nodding, and I know you can see me, they can't, but yeah, I saw that. That was really cool too.
Yeah, and I saw that it was it was between Python and C plus plus, I think.
Was it?
I kn-
I wasn't sure. Is that the final round? Like the final?
yeah, I know Python won.
Oh, okay.
Um, I think C plus plus put up a pretty good fight, but of course,
Wow.
Python
Yeah.
had to pull through and win. Um,
Yeah.
but
Even
Python,
JavaScript? Wow.
yeah,
Didn't even get that far.
yeah,
Interesting.
it is interesting. It's also different because Joma's demographic, it's mostly kids, probably in college, maybe out of college, who are in the industry or want to be. So it seems that Python is more popular with the youngsters, right? Whereas
Yes,
GitHub
I would say so.
altogether, it's, people of all ages. And JavaScript is, number one, Python trailing behind really closely. Um,
Right.
so maybe what would you recommend people start with?
Well, I think, I mean, I personally started with Python. So back in like after I finished my, degree at UCF in biotech, I wanted to pursue a career in scientific informatics. And I found a job that said, you either have to come from a software engineering background with some kind of exposure to biology or, lab sciences, or you could have, like a formal education or degree in biology science or laboratory sciences and some kind of training in software engineering. So I ended up doing Code Academy, and that's the first course that I took was a Python course. And I think for like a beginner, it's probably the best intro language because it's more higher level. And a higher level, I think, is what I'm referring to in terms of languages that have like the syntax is less verbose because it's I think there's like I don't know what a formal definition is, but like let's compare, Python and C++. Like C++ would be more lower level because it's a language that I think gets closer to the hardware in terms of like the communication, like when you have pointers, it's a faster language, like the performance is better because it's a lower level language. So like the syntax really is more like what the computer would read rather than Python, where it's closer to English. So I think as an introductory language, I would probably say Python. And that's how I started. I mean, JavaScript came after that. Java came even after. And now I've been using C++ for school. But it's really like Python. I mean, the things you can do, you can print a line with, you can print, something to the screen with one line. Whereas for C++, I mean, you probably need 10. I don't know, five or something like that. Yeah.
True,
Like,
yeah.
it's crazy. So, yeah, I would definitely say Python. What do you
Okay.
think?
Well, it's interesting that you started out with the top three, didn't you? Because you listed Python,
Yeah,
JavaScript,
for
Java.
sure.
You started out with the top three most popular ones, and for good reason. They're very
Yeah.
popular, of course. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I started out with C, and after that, I went to learning R a little bit, and I haven't used it since college. And then after
Okay.
that, it was into, the front end stuff like HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Um,
Right.
then all the boot camp stuff that you learn in a boot camp.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
my advice to someone starting out, though, in terms of what language they should begin with, I'm biased, but I think you should, as a newbie, consider starting out in C. And,
Mm,
of course,
that's
I
a good
started
point.
it in C, and it sounds bad, but I think it depends on who's teaching it, what your source is for learning it, what have you. But I think C as a language itself is really good with um, kind of showing you the basics of how programming actually works, and like all of
Right.
the like the fundamental things. As far as Python goes, like I would say it might be just as good, but I think C is really cool because you learn about pointers, you learn about all the data types really early, for loops, variables, functions, like all that stuff is very, it's very cut and dry with C.
Yeah.
And it just like at an early stage of learning it, it encapsulates everything you will need to understand if you ever want to learn the ins and outs of programming, right?
Hmm.
You could
Yeah.
say the same thing about Python again, but I did enjoy learning C first because now Python feels like a treat now that I'm using it way more than
Hmm.
anything else. Because
Yeah.
the syntax is way better. Um, it's actually, uh, it's based off of C, right? It's built on C. So
Right.
you kind of understand a little bit more about what's going on under the hood. And there's a little bit of like respect with it too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like if you're really into cars
Hmm.
and you collect cars, you do maintenance on them, you have them all in your garage and work on them all the time. You just love cars, and then you
Yeah.
see like a head with a vintage Mustang, whatever, who
Yeah.
has no idea what's going on under the hood. No pun
Hmm.
intended.
Yeah.
Of course, the person who truly loves cars is going to be like, man, like that kid doesn't deserve it.
Yeah.
And that's like
Yeah.
on a level I kind of look at Python like that, because
Yeah.
sure, it is easy to learn with, but it actually might not keep you completely engaged, and you really might miss out on a lot of things depending on how you're learning it when you go to learn
Mm.
another language.
Yeah. I think it really can be seen in like two different ways. Like you said, you could start with C and then, once you understand, like, because, yeah, like C is the foundation for a lot of other languages. And I'm pretty sure Python as well. That's why Python was developed as a higher level language, was just to simplify, what C is. So I don't know. And then if you want to start off with Python and then eventually learn C, I think it's, like bi-directional. Like you can go either way. It's really up to the person and their path or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, with like I think a college degree, I personally noticed that they start you off with. They started, me off. The first programming class I took was with the Java. So from I think going from like Python and JavaScript to Java, it was pretty like it was an obstacle. It was very challenging for me when I had to take that class. But I mean, Java is an enterprise level language. I mean, it's still widely adopted. So it's important to teach, students how it works. And then now for the past couple semesters, it's been mainly C++. And I like it a lot. I feel like I it's something I feel comfortable reading. I don't fully understand it sometimes, depending on like what kind of code I'm looking at, but the code that I'm writing, I do understand what I'm doing. So
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I mean, I think it's a good point in what you said. If just like when you're learning math, no teacher is going to hand you like a graphing calculator right off the bat and just like, oh no, here, just type the equation in, go to the graph tab, and you can see what it's going to look like. No, they teach you how to do it by hand, so you can
Mm-hmm.
understand the process behind, and you can develop like the critical thinking, which I think is very important because for programming, it's not just about trying to memorize it. Like, no programmer is someone who memorizes how to do things. Like, you first have to be, someone who thinks, dissects the problem, and then tries to find a solution. So it's, yeah, it's very important to understand, how things work under the hood, as you put it. So that's, I think, my biggest recommendation is, whichever language you decide to go with as a beginner,
Mm-hmm.
just try your best to see why is it, that things are working the way that you're doing it, or why they're not working. Like, do the research to understand the language and the syntax, so it makes sense to you. And then when you transition to another language, things are still going to look very, very similar. It's just like the syntax might be simpler or more difficult depending which direction you go. But it's something that a lot of developers tell you. Like, I feel so much more comfortable going from one language to the other because it's still, if it is object oriented programming, they're still very similar. The syntax is just going to be different.
Mm-hmm. So your
But
your
picking that up,
final decision on
Python.
Python. Okay.
Yeah,
And for me,
for
it's going to be
sure.
C, but my second one would be Python.
Okay, good.
Followed by, going down the HTML, CSS, JavaScript route, I believe. I guess that's what I would
Yeah.
do. So we've talked about what languages we would recommend people start with. Now, I kind of want to address how they would actually learn it, right? Because there's a few
Mhm.
different ways you could do it. So I think you're someone to take advice on about this because you've touched, the three main and most popular routes people take in terms of, learning how to code and what programming is and how to get a career out of it.
Yeah.
And you've even, gone through the whole career change thing.
Hmm.
And, of course, the three routes that I'm talking about are, of course, going to college, doing a boot camp, or teaching yourself at home.
Hmm.
Which one do you think has helped you the most in your career? And what do you recommend that people who are new to all of this do?
I think based on my background, because, I already had a degree, I elected to do the boot camp for that very reason. I didn't want to go back to school for another 4 years or whatever, however long it was going to take, just to, put myself in debt or go through, like that, like wait so long for that return on investment. I saw the boot camp opportunity as something that I could maximize on after 6 months, and I was just looking for a career pivot. I just wanted a change. I was working as, a pharmacy tech at a pharmacy here in Orlando, and definitely not happy. I had bigger plans for the future. So I always, gravitated towards technology. Prior to that, I had done the little like self-teaching tools, Code Academy, Free Code Camp, and all of that. And I just needed something a little more structured with the right guidance and mentorship. So I just decided to do the full stack boot camp here. And I learned a lot. Obviously, it was very intense, something extremely new because I had by no means, the kind of understanding about like web design and, for like building web applications up to that point. So it was, just something to open my eyes. And I think the main thing that I took away from it, obviously, I still keep in touch with some of the people that attended, and it's nice to see, like where they're going. But I think the main thing for me was being able to hear something and then go deep into it. Like I taught myself how to learn. I think I've become a lot more resourceful as a result of the boot camp. Obviously, it exposed me to HTML, CSS, JavaScript, so a couple of frameworks, React, PHP, Laravel. But I think the biggest lesson that I got from the bootcamp was, how to become more resourceful. Because when you are in development or software engineering or whatever, you have to you have to teach yourself constantly. You have to adapt because technology is ever changing. So the bootcamp was by far the most impactful I think method of learning that I went through. Because after that, I got a new job. I got out of healthcare, got something a bit different. That was definitely, a step up from where I was. Now going into, an even more technical role. So it's definitely propelled my career a lot. I opted to, after the boot camp, and after settling into the job that I got as a result of it, I decided to get the prereqs and go back for my second degree in computer science. But not that I personally thought that I needed it. Some people just are fine after a boot camp and they're like, I'm just going to focus on my career, maybe work, like a full-time job and then do some side projects, side gigs or whatever. But I just wanted the foundation, the academic foundation, to understand what being a software developer is, and unfortunately, and you can't cram 4 years worth of formal education into 6 months as a boot camp. Like a boot camp is an intro, so I thought that it was a good idea for me at the time because, like I said, I already had a degree. I was probably out of school for like a year and 6 months. So I was like, no, I don't want to go back to school and I have to wait that long to see if it's gonna work out. So I think it really depends on the person's background. I would say if you have a degree, go to a boot camp to see if it's something that you like, because the financial commitment might not be as expensive as or as great as a bachelor's degree. It's definitely going to be shorter, so whether you like it or not, you're going to be spending 3 to 6 months, and you can gauge then if it's going to be something you will want to pursue in the future. But if you're fresh out of high school, then I would say, yeah, why not look into either a boot camp or a computer science degree that would be suitable for you, because they're very different. But there are a lot of successful developers that were either in my cohort or that I know that went to a boot camp and they've now become mid-level or senior developers, like very, very smart people. And that's all the education that they had. So it really depends on, I think, how well you learn. I like learning a lot. It's difficult to balance having a full-time job now with college, but I know that, I'm nearly done. And then after that, I'll probably take a break. I don't know if I'm going to go back to school after, but yeah, definitely having done all three, for me personally, the bootcamp was the one with most impact because it got me out of healthcare, which is what I wanted, So that's been my experience. What do you think? Like for you, I know a little more than the listeners about your background, but would you have done things differently?
Not for a second. I think what you said actually really sums it up. It's that it depends on where you're at in life, right?
Right.
Like you said, high school, age, you should maybe consider just if your plan is to already go to college, just major in CS. Try it out. Like you're already going to college. Like the whole point is to, be exposed to something new or learn, deeper in about something that you're already interested in, that you can get this nice piece of paper and feel really good about yourself and, get a really good job, because that's what a lot of jobs do require.
Yeah.
As an adult looking for a career change, though, I think, like you said, boot camp is the way to go for sure. That's where I was at in my life, just like you. I was a dropout from college. I didn't finish I was almost 4 years into it, and I dropped out just due to some financial stuff. I was on a free ride at a very expensive school and majoring in math, and it was you know pretty rough, but I couldn't complain. I was going for free to a really expensive school, but some things changed, and they I got this letter in the mail saying like, hey, you're gonna have to start paying next semester. You want to cough over like 40 grand? And I was like, I don't think so. No, thanks. I'll go somewhere else. So I did a couple. No, I actually only did one class at my state college that was like down the road from the school. And I was like, I'll finish the degree there. We'll see. I took one class there. It was a math class, and I just was checked out completely. I was like, I don't feel like I'm getting the quality that I originally had at my school before. And sure, it's super, super cheap, but it's just, I don't see how this is going to be worth it. And I also just started getting burned out because all I was doing was math,
Yeah.
So I started thinking like, okay, well, all I got to do is grind it out, finish, and then I get to become a math teacher, which wasn't the greatest motivator either. So I just decided to completely drop it. I still love math. I'm really happy about everything I learned. And I'm a huge, what's the word? Supporter for, anyone who wants to do it.
Yeah.
But once my program exposed me to a little bit of coding, that's when my eyes started going to tech in general, and possibly, getting a job in that. Because the only other job that I could really get as a math graduate would have been, some sort of like data analyst job or machine learning or a quant sort of role. And at the time, I didn't know what any of those meant. But once I found the boot camp and I finished that and everything, I started to connect the dots with the math program and everything I learned in the boot camp. And it felt really cool. And I haven't, gone back to college like you have, which I think is amazing. It is something I am considering eventually. Maybe, post quarantine, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really cool to do CS for sure.
Find an employer that can pay for it.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. I don't really want to pay for it, but hey, if it works, it works. I do think that the boot camp is, a little overpriced, but honestly, I've made my money back easily.
So, yeah, exactly.
Because all boot camps are a different price, but I think the one I did was like $8 grand. And, once you get your first job, like it's going to pay for itself in no time. Like the ROI is pretty good. Like, of course, when you're thinking about it, it kind of sounds like a ton of money, and it is. Like, you have $8 grand, just giving it to this boot camp company.
Right.
It feels a little weird at first. You're like, did I just like enter a cult or, some sort of pyramid scheme or whatever? But it's really good just because I've never, ever regretted spending that money at all. I'm like so grateful I did it. It brought me to where I am today. It exposed me to everything about the tech industry, and it's just opened the door to so many different things that I could do with my life that I never would have considered doing had I not done it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm 100% with you on that. I think one thing that I also wanted to mention is, because as a result of, doing the boot camp, I definitely felt like I was at an like advantage when I started my computer science degree, because I
Mm-hmm.
had some exposure to the vocabulary, to how things, in programming works, like with JavaScript and, a little bit of Python and that kind of stuff. So it wasn't like I was looking at some of those things for the first time. Yeah, like the first time I looked at Java, it was different, but, I felt already more comfortable. Now, I did have a colleague when I was taking that class or a class after that struggled tremendously because I think she was coming from a background that was totally unrelated to technology. She
Mm-hmm.
had not done a boot camp or anything. Maybe, I don't know, a couple of like self teaching tools, if that. But, I like she struggled a lot. I think she ended up like dropping the class that we were taking together. And I don't know if she's currently still in the program, but I can stress it enough. Like the fact that people read all of these really flashy headlines about how much developers make in Silicon Valley and they think it's easy, to make $200,000 a year. It's not easy at all. Being a software engineer, it takes a lot of time, dedication, and like understanding. Like programming is not something that you can remember. Like you have to understand how it works.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're just in it for the money, okay, I understand. Like everyone needs money to live, to pay your bills. If you want like a nice lifestyle, it can definitely provide you with that. But I think if that's the only reason, then like for someone who didn't like their previous career path, it might be difficult to keep your eye on the prize though, because once get to that point where you start taking programming classes, you're gonna like, be faced with a lot of challenges other than like genuinely having, like an appreciation for technology, for like to understand how things work. Because if the money is the only motivator, then I mean,
You're not gonna make it.
I personally, yeah, like I personally don't relate. Obviously, I think it's a very good motivator for me. I want to stay in it. It's very encouraging to know that, I'm making sacrifices now. I'm making, going through like a lot now, staying super busy with, work and school, but it's going to pay off a lot in the, down the line. So that's what keeps me moving. But because I enjoy what I do, I enjoy learning about new things. It can be scary, but that's the misconception. I think the biggest misconception that I see is, people trying to get a new career in computer science or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, just because, yeah, they go on Reddit and they read about all these stories of people making six figures out of college, and it's nonsense. Like no other place in the country other than maybe New York do you make that kind of money. It's proportional to the cost of living, and if you compare that to how much a single person spends to live in Silicon Valley, then yeah, sure, they're making a good amount, and they still have a lot after the normal expenses that a person has, but it's because of the very expensive area that they live in. And California has like a huge, like the taxes that you have to pay.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh
yeah, I
yeah.
think I just wanted to throw that in there too, because I think that can be like another topic, like compensation and like bonuses. That kind of that kind of conversation can be like another episode too. But I just wanted to mention that one friend that I had too,
Mm-hmm.
and how the boot camp really did give me like a step, I think, an advantage over maybe people that were fresh out of high school or were just coming in from a totally unrelated background to technology. So
Sure.
I think, yeah, like it might sound a little bit biased, but I mean the boot camp paid off a lot for me. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely want to dive deeper into the market of dev jobs, especially right now.
mm-hmm.
I want to do, a whole separate episode on that because
Yeah.
I'd go on and on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but here, no pun intended for this little article that I came across. But shifting gears, Tesla's new
Mm-hmm.
Model S will automatically shift between park, reverse, and drive. Have you heard about this?
Oh my gosh. So I watched a video by MKBHD the other day, and he was talking about like the prototype pictures or whatever, I think. But I don't know if he mentioned that. So really? How? I mean, how?
So Elon Musk said that it's going on based off of the sensors that are already there, that it can detect if you're in front of a garage door or if you're about to go onto a road. He said that he's been using it personally, and he said that after a few weeks, I think he said, of using it, he just can't understand how people even lived with it, which, of course, is a little biased because he's the one who is in charge of the company and wants to sell all these cars that won't have it anymore. But I think it's fair to say that, like, sure, if you've built something this great that's going to be doing all of that for you, I mean, I would be pretty stoked about it too. And I would think it's weird. It's just like how we think it's almost impossible to think how we would be without smartphones. Like, it's such a leap in how we live our lives, but it's also so hard to understand how we would even get somewhere without our GPS on our phones and stuff. But anyway, I think this is it's just it's the Model S that's going to have it. And I don't know when they plan to roll it out, but I know other car companies have attempted it, because I know Fiat used to have it, and I think Jeep. But there was a big what's it called, a recall on like a million of the cars, because I guess what you would do is, like, it would do it for you, but then you would have to hit a button to confirm it or something like that. Or to put it in park, you would have to press a button, something like that. So there were a lot of mistakes and issues where people would get out of the car and the car would roll away. So this big actor, he actually got ran over by his own car because of this, and he died.
Oh my gosh, was it? Oh my God, what was his name?
Let me do a number crunch on that. I forgot his name.
Anton something.
Anton.
Oh my God, he's from like
number crunch.
Yeah, right.
His name is. Oh, come on.
That was so sad.
What a way to go. Anton Yelchin?
Yeah.
So sad.
That was like the weirdest, like most bizarre death ever. Like getting crushed by his car like that. That's crazy.
And man, like, it's hardly his fault. I mean, of course they should have had maybe a few more people in the human factors department on that one, if they had anyone at all, testing the instrumentation of it, right? I mean, we hear stories about this, all across, every industry, aviation and manufacturing, just all these silly accidents that could have easily been avoided if someone had made better instructions or made the buttons a little clearer, maybe added some texture to them so people can like get every sort of signal to their brain on what it does, visual, auditory, tactile, all that stuff. So maybe Tesla will conquer that and make it something that is way easier to use. I mean, Elon Musk was obviously behind building it, so he's going to know exactly how it works. But, to the average Joe driving their Model S, we'll see. I mean, people have kind of adapted pretty well to lots of things lately, especially because we're in quarantine, Zoom and just not working at the office. I don't know. What do you think?
In regards to the car, or just like
Yeah.
adapting new technologies? Because I mean, I like I said, I watched a video review from MKBHD about the new car, and they're looking even like more and more appealing. I mean,
Yeah.
it looks like a car straight out of the future. We're just like, it's like here, it's now. You can order it and you can have it. And I think that the company has become revolutionary. They've brought on like a movement that, like, I feel like, other car manufacturers just can't even try and match. Like, there's nothing close to Tesla right now. And I think that they're going to do some very interesting things in the coming years. They have like the right following. Obviously, like Elon is like followed by a lot of people because he is a visionary. I would say like to the level of Steve Jobs. So like the guy is a huge figure now, and people appreciate that because he's bringing on change. That you will always have the people who resist it, but I don't know. I really think that it's inevitable. If there's like one thing that we've probably all learned as a result of the pandemic, is that the world doesn't truly stop anymore, because we have technology to facilitate how we stay like interconnected, whether it's through Zoom, or I don't know, like tons of other, facilitating factors now that we have Slack, several other like messaging apps, and in ways that you can communicate, is that we it's very easy to remain connected, but it's even nicer when you can find a product that has gone through testing and is made for people. It's not made for like an engineer. It's made for anyone with any kind of level of exposure to technology is able to like to hop on a Zoom call. You just have to send them the link, and then they're able to join in. Same thing for Slack. It's pretty, it's very easy, and I feel like that's another thing that I would definitely like to touch on deeper, is the development of like user experience, the user interface. I mean, you have like big companies where they have dedicated departments just for that, because it's not just the functionality. You have to make it user friendly. So.
Absolutely. I mean, I definitely have my fair share of things that I still use and I've built that are not user friendly at all. They're just for me. There's no button to start anything. You have to change around things sometimes, but ultimately it achieves my automation task, if that's what it is, or
right.
I don't know, does something cool. I don't know. I don't really know. But I think that's the thing with this Tesla, is that he knows exactly how this works, right? So of course he's going to be a big supporter for it. So we'll see once we, once they get people, everyday people driving it and trying it out. That's what I'm really interested in to see. So I think we'll have to follow up on that once more news comes out about it.
I do know that I think like the basic model, because I think they have like 3 tiers. The basic model starting in like 70 something thousand, which, is it's pretty hefty. Like it's way above the average, sedan price.
Chump change.
Yeah, right. Because the most expensive one I saw was like $140,000. Like that's the like souped up, Model S. But you can get like 500 miles per charge or something crazy. But yeah, like the basic model is 0 to 60 in 1.99 seconds or something, or like 2 seconds and some change. So like it's amazing what they're building, and I mean, it's starting to look even like more and more appealing. I would love to drive one just to see what it's like.
Same.
But yeah, we'll see. I mean, there are some interesting things like I think Marquez, he mentioned like he had a picture of the prototype, and the steering wheel was a different shape. It kind of looks like a Formula One steering wheel. So That was another thing that I noticed. So yeah, I mean, they're definitely trying to, push new concepts to see what sticks. The public will definitely let them know. But I don't know if the car is even going into production like this year, or if you can order one. So I don't know. It's like a lot of interesting things to come with Tesla.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not seeing anything here about release date or
Yeah.
testing time, but
Right.
yeah, I'll definitely keep up to date on this, and I'll also check out Marquez's video on it. I didn't know about
Oh
that.
yeah, I
Um,
know that he's like an avid Tesla supporter. I mean, he's already interviewed Elon Musk himself, and he owns a Tesla. So yeah, he definitely check out his video, and whoever's listening, do that too, because it's very cool. Has the visual, so kind of talks about like everything that you would see in the car. It's very minimalist. Like I feel like you couldn't even make the other ones more minimalist, but this one looks like it is. Um, so yeah, you have your big screen, the interesting steering wheel thing, and that's pretty much it. Not a lot of buttons like you see in some other cars that look like spaceships.
mhm.
But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully one day I'll get to try one out. Uh, and the Roadster is still like yet to come. I don't know. I feel like there's so much buzz around that. He talked about it. I don't know anything about the Roadster. I just think that it's like delayed by how many years now? I'm not sure. It's like me waiting for the Metroid game.
Right, and
It's never coming.
let's not even get started on that Cybertruck.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, right.
so we'll see when that happens. But before we wrap up, do you have any last words or advice or anything that you found this week that you recommend everyone get? Anything at all?
Um, oh, okay. Well, briefly, I just wanted to do a quick review. I've only had it for 2 days, but the Logitech MX Keys keyboard, if you're looking for a low profile keyboard that is compatible with Windows or Mac, that is the one to go. Very nice, a little pricey, but it's worth the money from all the reviews that I read, because I did a little bit of research before. Very pleasantly surprised, because I'm pretty picky with my short keys. I don't like, the gamer style, long keys. So this one so far, big thumbs up. I'll start using it at work, so I'm sure that I'll be able to, give a more in-depth review of it in a few weeks time. But so far, yeah, I definitely recommend this one. It's very nice.
And just to confirm, you don't have any affiliate link. You're not sponsored. This is a genuine.
Sponsor us. No, unfortunately not. Maybe one day.
So you're
Hashtag Logitech.
well, you truly like it then. If you're gonna throw 3 advertisements for them,
Yeah,
perfect.
I know. So far, it's free, but hey, if we ever get to that point, I would love a T-shirt or more keyboards and mice and whatever you want to send my way, stickers.
Well, Logitech, keep doing what you're doing because you're making Anna happy.
How about you? Did you any I don't know, products, programs, hardware, anything interesting this week?
Nothing really comes to mind, actually. Maybe I should have prepared something if I was going to ask you that. I didn't, I don't think I ordered anything this week. I don't think I used anything new. I used the same stuff every day at work, same plugins.
Yeah.
Everything. Shout out to Ableton for letting me to, record on here and get Anna to hear all these, beautiful sounds. Well, there you have it. Another episode of Tech Heads in the books. We'll see you all in a week. Peace.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Let me get in position. Ooh-ha, hoo-ha.
Stretch. Do your mouth exercises.
I'll take a sip of my little brewski.
Cheers. I have LaCroix.
Same thing.